All right, so let's go ahead and see how we handle form validation with forming. So if I open up VS Code, and right here you can see that we have a few things. So actually I haven't explained this, but this is the perfect time for you to understand it because we have to touch it basically. So you see that we have initial values. So initial values is everything that our form needs, right? So our form needs email, it doesn't need password, right? So we need actually the first name, last name, and gender. So let's actually delete all of that. So let's go ahead and define the first name, and initially it will be empty. Let's also define last name, will be empty, and then email, and we also need gender, right? And this will be let's actually leave it empty for now, right? But if I now save this, and you can see that right here we have this validate. So this validate is how we actually validate the actual contents in each of these fields. So you can see that they have an example here. So this is how you validate email, for example. So if not values email, you say that email is required. Else if, so if we have a any content in it, let's actually verify that the content is an email, right? And also you can see that, so if this condition is not satisfied, we say that it's an invalid email address. So let's see this in action. So if I open up Chrome and add new student, and in the actual email, let me go ahead and say hello and then .com. And if I come out of this field, you can see that we get invalid email address. So this is really cool because we haven't had to implement anything crazy like that just to get validation right away. So Forming, it's an amazing library for working with forms with React. So let's actually check the last name. So if I pretty much just type on it, and you can see that we haven't got any validation, right? So if I delete that, you can see that we haven't got any validation. So let's actually go ahead and validate first name, last name, and gender. So go back to VS Code. Let's actually add some validation inside here. So let me indent this first, and let's go ahead and say if not, and then values dot first name. So if we don't have first name, let's go ahead and simply say errors dot and then first name. So this errors has to be the same as the actual value, right? So let's go ahead and say first name and then required. So if I actually grab this and put it at the very top, so right here, let's do the same for the last name, last and then name. Make sure that errors is errors.last name. Change this to last name, and let's actually check the gender. So gender, let's put it the last one. So let me actually indent this as well, and right here let's go ahead and simply say if not gender, let's go ahead and say gender and then required. And then let's go ahead and simply say else if. So if we have a gender, let's go ahead and add an array and simply go ahead and say male and then comma and then male like that. Let's also go ahead and say that we allow female all uppercase and female all lowercase. So female and then dot. So go ahead and simply say dot on the actual array includes, and then includes values dot and then email, or actually gender, sorry. There we go. So let's actually inverse this. So if it doesn't include, what we want is simply say errors dot and then gender equals to, and then gender must be, and then one of the following: male, male lowercase, female, female lowercase. So basically these are the constraints that we have in our database, and this is what we allowed. So bear in mind that this could be anything you want. I'm just giving you examples here, but you could accept female or just M, or male with uppercase M and then the rest lowercase. I'll leave that up to you. So let's go ahead and add a semicolon there and then save. And now let's test our form. So if I open up Chrome and add new student, and let's actually click on the very first text field or input field and then come out, you can see that we have gender required. So let's go ahead and simply say John, and we have the same for oh, this shouldn't be gender, to be honest. Let's fix this in a second. But right here you can see that this one is correct. So last name, so Jones. So let's add an email. So John Jones at, and then if I come out, invalid email address at gmail.com. And then let's actually say lol. You can see that gender must be male or female. Let's actually add gender male like this. You see that that doesn't work. Let's actually say male or uppercase, and that works, and the form is ready to go. Now let's go ahead and fix the bug that we had. So right here, so you can see that, so this right here should be gender. So gender, because we are checking for the gender value and not first name. And there we go. So now you know how to handle form validation with Formic. Next, let's go ahead and add some styling to these values right here. So first name required, and then last name required, so on and so forth.